Oh. Ow, my neck hurts. Oh.
Moments later.
Generic intro into Dr. Goodie's Move. Here back with some more Game Theory FNAF videos. Today we're actually doing two videos, which is the FNAF Stump Me Again, which is a very, very cursed thumbnail. Apparently, the longer you look at it, the more you notice, and the more things you wish you did not notice. And then we're doing the Stop the FNAF ARG Hunt, which apparently follows or is a follow-up video to this video. So I'm doing them both in this one because that video is only 10 minutes long. So next week's video is going to be FNAF The Final Security Breach Mystery Solved, which I highly doubt that's going to be the last one considering how many more videos there are in this playlist. But you can check my reaction to the last one, which was the clue that almost solves everything. I'll leave my reaction to that video right up there. Also gonna link down below in the description. Also gonna place my channel with all of my other FNAF Game Theory reactions going in chronological order, and also link down below in the description is gonna be me playing Sister Location that I streamed on my birthday, and my girlfriend joined me for that video as well. First time she's actually ever been on any of my channels whatsoever, so she actually joined me for that, and it was a great time. And I played my birthday, had crazy donations. It was an amazing live stream, and I got to the fourth night at Sister Location. It was a little bit difficult. It definitely was, and I don't like scary games. I've only ever played the first game, and now I've played through the first 4 nights of Sister Location. But let's go ahead and jump into FNAF Stump Me. Shout out to the patrons. Could not do this if it wasn't for them. They allowed me to not have a paywall channel, allow me to make all these videos, and I'm doing the best I can to make as many videos as possible. I try to be as consistent as possible. These videos come out at the same time, same day, every single week, and I've kept that schedule for years at this point. So shout out to the patrons. $3 a month gets you all my reaction videos day early. $3 a month gets you a lot, like 60 videos a month. That's insane. But let's go ahead and jump into FNAF Stump Me again. All right.
Would you look at that?
That was me last weekend. Except I was in the shade and still got
sunburned. It's a brand
sunburned.
new day for the channel. There have been so many new games, new meta
Like,
theories, even some classic science episodes thrown
the
in.
Illooms.
I'm happy, I'm healthy. Life is
Sponsored.
good. And now, time to relax.
That is a flying great white shark. It's a robot shark. Did they jump the shark? I don't think they jumped the shark.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show
Hi,
where
thanks
old
for having me.
habits and old animatronics die hard. Today we're talking about the 12th and
marshmallow.
final installment of the Fazbear Frights book series,
Which-
Felix the Shark. That's right,
Literally a
friend,
shark.
the final book.
For now.
Until the next 3 come out later this year. Anyway, let's not think about that.
They could have
Instead,
all been
focus on
games.
Felix. Now, this final book is special. Just like all the others, it too is a collection of 3 short,
Oh, we had
spooky stories
3 other
vaguely
people.
connected to the wider FNAF lore. But where this one is different is that it's meant to be a collection of cut stories. As the official
Like,
description
didn't make the other
reads,
ones.
quote, stories that didn't make the cut for the first 11 books. Which, okay, they didn't appear in numbers 1 through 11, but still, they wound up getting published anyway as the 12th one. Is
maybe
that
because it didn't
such
flow
a big
together?
deal? In fact, because they're last, they're probably in the most important position of any of the stories. And while you might assume that they were cut because they were weaker or lesser than the 33
I think
other
maybe they just
Fazbear
didn't
Frights
fit.
that were produced, it's not really true. You cut the story about an animatronic shark, but you kept the one where a boy turns into a traffic sign. You cut girls'
What?
dead body shoved into animatronic suit mystery, but kept tiny guppy bodies. You cut a security guard named Mike going around collecting haunted FNAF memorabilia, and yet kept Fazgoo. The truth is, we don't really know
Fazgoo.
why these were cut. It could have been a quality thing. It could
Maybe.
have been that they confused the lore, or
Maybe.
just maybe, it could have been that they were intentionally designed to set up secret puzzles that we were meant to solve, and those puzzles never got fully realized. Spoiler alert, I think it might have been that last one. I believe that Scott was
couldn't tell
planning
you.
to use this final book as a launching point. The
For the
start
game?
of a real-world treasure hunt that would have required using the books, the
Oh.
games, even stuff like the coloring book in
I'm not
order
solving
to
that.
crack. I suspect that this was a riddle so far-reaching and so complex, it would have required the cooperation of FNAF theorists from across
Would it
the
really?
globe.
Would it
Today,
really?
I'm gonna explain the clues that
I don't know
led
about
me to
that
this
now.
conclusion,
Just
but
some
more
random person on
importantly,
Reddit's
I'm
gonna
ask
figure it
you
out.
for your help. You see, while I'm reasonably confident this thing was never finished, I'm not sure. I can't be sure unless you all double check for me. A few years ago, I asked for all
but the
your
next
help
video is
in
gonna be
solving
called
the
Stop the
security
ARG
logbook,
Hunt.
and a day later, we discovered the name of Cassidy. Today, I'm gonna
Day
ask
later,
you for
yeah.
something similar. I'm gonna take you on a journey through some weird corners of FNAF lore and some loose threads that I see in this new book, and then I'm gonna ask you for the
Go
favor.
ask your
I
local
need you to
great
help
white
me
shark
either solve
if it
this
knows
thing
about
once
FNAF.
and for all, or debunk it.
Also,
And who
sharks are
knows,
older than
maybe
trees.
This is the push that we need to get the next major answer to the game's lore. But before you help me with the lore, I was wondering
Sponsor.
if you'd help me in another way. It's time for our newest collection of Theoryware
Oh?
merch. And as always, you checking out the items goes a long way to
It
help
probably
fund
does.
everything that we're doing over here on the channel. This collection
There's,
in
like,
particular is
super
going to be
thin
especially fun
margins
if you're a
when it comes
fan
to
of
merch.
analog horror, the X-Files,
Not.
or Area 51.
Done,
It's all
never
about
seen 'em.
conspiracy boards, sky watching, and secret undercover fact-finding missions. Let me just start off by introducing you to the item that everyone's going to want to get, the Game Theory Lava Lamp. Filled with neon green alien goo, this one is perfect for your room or your desk, and it's been running nonstop in my office since I got the finalized prototype a month ago. It is awesome. It's also
I mean, that is cool. I've never seen a YouTuber make a lava lamp.
Merch. If you ever wanted a lava lamp while also showing off your theorist pride, this is the perfect item for you.
I do like that it's green. That is, it's really cool.
Well,
I'm just not
brand new item in our roster,
someone that wants a lava lamp.
Sunglasses.
Those are
These
pretty
things
sick.
Are perfectly balanced, as all things should be. A classic design,
and they're
that
like
perfectly
literally
frames your face with a hit of fun Game Theory green on the insides of the arms, while also keeping a muted matte finish and subtle patterning on the outside of the arms.
I don't know if they
to
fit
give
my
them an
face.
air
I'm
of
really finicky with
sophistication.
sunglasses.
Historically, I've struggled finding sunglasses that I love, so I
Same.
decided to make some sunglasses that I
the
absolutely
Oakley
love,
Holbrooks.
that
I
think
have
you're gonna
2
love
pairs
too.
of them.
Speaking of things I love, this new jogger
That looks
set.
sick.
I mean,
The
just
jacket.
look at the picture on
Not
screen
so much
right
the
now.
pants,
I don't
but
know if I've ever felt that good in a picture in my life. And if it can make me
it has
feel
the little.
that good
I don't like
posing in
the
an
hand
awkward
thing
photo
where it goes
shoot,
to your
imagine how
thumbs.
great
Not a fan
you'll
of that.
feel in it, lounging around or out and about. Soft
You
and
think I wear
lightweight, but still
clothes when I'm
warm and
home?
stylish.
No.
And of course, complete with thumb holes. Also,
Not a fan of
there
that.
won't be a new Theoryware merch
cool.
drop without a slew of new hoodies, t-shirts, and jackets. All of it with embroidered details to give you quality that
Apparently
you
it's
can
been high
feel.
quality.
This
I wonder
isn't
who
just
they
your typical YouTuber
use
spray-on
to do
design
this.
merch. These items are all
Exactly.
custom cut
That's
and
why I don't
sewn
make
to
merch.
deliver you actual high quality
Because I
garments.
can't
Garments
ensure that
you'll
it's going to
actually wanna
be
wear,
the
and
quality
that
that I
will last
want.
for as many times as you want to wear them. Just look at the liner of this jacket. It is
That's
literally
cool.
a redacted document,
That's
which is
cool.
a detail that I specifically requested the team execute on. I mean, where else do you find clothing that has cool details like that? In my opinion,
What
it
does
just
he have like his
elevates
own
the
team? Who does he
design,
do
and I
have
think
do
that he'll
this?
appreciate it too. Last item that I'll specifically call
Like, is
out
it a
here,
company he
first ever
started, or is it one he
button-down
works
shirt
with? Because that's
straight out
sick.
of Roswell, New Mexico. The alien print here is super fun. Again, we custom designed this fabric from the ground up to make the shirt. It's also perfectly accessorized with a tinfoil hat. So
No,
grab
it's
yourself
not.
a garment that goes perfectly with some red yarn and your conspiracy theory boards. A handful
Is he
of
trying to be
items
the
are
meme
available
dude?
right below this video in the merch shelf.
It's pretty
or
sick.
you just head on over to theoryware.com to check out the full collection.
I'm honestly
And as
surprised
always, thank you guys so much for the support.
Game
Now
Theory
back
has
to
never
FNAF. In
done
order
like a
to unwrap
convention,
the secret
like their
FNAF
own.
ARG,
you
let's
know,
start
even
by
a
breaking
small
down
one.
the stories in Felix the Shark, shall we? The final story, You're the Band, is probably the most
You're the
obviously
Band, not me.
related to existing FNAF lore. In it, a small boy named Timmy becomes obsessed
Timmy.
with everyone's favorite pizza murder franchise, Freddy Fazbear's. His mother finds him a strange Freddy mask on the internet and gives
Why
it
would
to
you
him
buy
for his
that?
birthday. After putting it on, Timmy starts to change. He doesn't
Oh,
like
no.
the things he used to. He becomes moody and aggressive. He even yells about protecting the others when Granddad walks towards him with a knife. Eventually, Timmy is led to an abandoned Freddy
knife!
Fazbear's building by a shadowy figure. The whole thing gives off some very solid Midnight Motorist vibes. In order to rescue him, his mother teams up with a former Freddy's security guard named Mike. Turns out the Freddy mask was possessed by one of the children from the original Fazbear murders. When Timmy put on the mask, the spirit transferred into his body, which allowed it to control him. When Mike and Timmy's mom arrive at the restaurant,
That's
Timmy is
terrifying.
on stage in Freddy's position, performing alongside Bonnie and Chica. After getting attacked by the puppet, Mike manages to get the Freddy mask back onto Timmy, which captures the spirit.
Ow,
He then
my
puts
neck
the
hurts.
mask back onto the original Freddy head, getting the spirit back to where it belongs. Now, I gotta admit, I got really excited when I read the story. We've suspected for a while that FNAF 1 security guard Mike Schmidt was really Michael Afton going from location to location to undo the evils of his father, William. That's why we play as Mike through pretty much every installment of the
then
series.
that's why
up
there's
through
so many
Ultimate Custom
Mikes.
Night. It's why Mike's name appears in Sister Location, why Fazbear Frights burns down in FNAF 3, and why
he
the
sets it
security
on
guard
fire.
in FNAF 2 is fired for tampering with animatronics and odor, just like
'Cause he's
Mike was
dead,
in
a
FNAF 1.
corpse.
Up until now, that theory's never been confirmed, but this story seems to be strong evidence for exactly that idea. A security guard named Mike going around collecting the old artifacts from Freddy locations in order to help free the spirits of those trapped within. So that was already pretty cool and totally made reading this book worthwhile. Anytime we can get more
Why was it
evidence
cut,
to support
though?
a theory within the franchise, absolutely worth it. But while You're the Band was explicitly
I'm the band or you're the
lore-heavy,
band?
the other two stories were
The
equally
Scoop?
fascinating, but for
Felix the
different
Shark?
reasons. There were details that felt odd or out of place, and comments from characters that seemed oddly specific in a way that just triggered my lore hunting senses. In the title story, Felix the Shark, we follow a young man named Dirk who's reminiscing conversing with
Dirk
his friends about their shared
Nowitzki?
experiences with Freddy Fazbear's. However, Dirk's memory is slightly different to everyone else's. He's convinced that there was an extra animatronic, a shark
what?
named
Supposed to be like
Felix. When his
Mandela
friends
effect
make
or
fun of him,
something?
Dirk sets off on a cross-country quest to prove
that,
that
a
he's
Jeep
not
Compass?
crazy. It takes him 6 restaurants, but Dirk eventually does learn the truth. It turns out Felix was made by the owner of one very specific Freddy Fazbear's after his son tragically drowned. Why would that lead into a shark animatronic? Because it was a shark that actually pushed the body back to shore. Couldn't make this stuff up if I tried. Eventually, Dirk does manage to locate Felix. The whole FNAF pizzeria is hidden inside an abandoned water park. But the weird part isn't the where, but rather the how of finding Felix. You see, Dirk is only able to find the pizzeria using a series of clues that are found in a random novel written by the creator's daughter. In-universe, Felix's creator also had a daughter who grew up to become a popular author. And in one of her books, The Dog Dogmatist, she hides a series of clues in plain sight within the book's dialogue.
Also,
These
is that
clues
literally
ultimately
clue
proved
like
meaningless to the characters in the book because they
font
weren't
for the
meant
board
for
game?
the characters. They were instead meant for the readers to give them information they needed to find Felix. It is very weird. Anyway,
the fact y'all knew that
figures
jump
all
scare
of
was
this out
coming and didn't
confronts
warn
the
me.
author. She gives him her butterfly necklace, and he uses all of this Indiana Jones style to unlock a secret key hidden in the bottom of an empty pool at the water park. The key unlocks the path to the secret Freddy's where Dirk finally finds Felix. And then Dirk dies by climbing into the tank with Felix because these characters always have to die in the stories. It's dumb.
Do they always have to?
So be it. Anyway, you see what's so weird about all this, right? Out of nowhere, this story is talking about clues to a real-world location hidden inside of another
horseplay?
book.
What about
Clues that
donkey
are
play?
meaningless to the characters, but meaningful to the readers. Not only did this stand out to me as a suspiciously meta moment, but it also got me to immediately think about the previous Fazbear Frights installment, Prankster. You see, in preparation for the release of Felix the Shark, I wanted to refresh myself on all the previous stories. There are 33 of these things after all. It's
so
a lot
many
to keep track of. So I turned to
I guess 11 books,
book,
3 per,
released Ultimate Guidebook, which, if you don't know, has
When did
summaries
that
of
come out?
literally everything that's ever happened in the Freddy Fazbear universe, from the games to the books to the
So
fan
the
theories.
abridged.
Basically, if you're trying to catch up with the series quickly, it's definitely worth a read. And since this is the third and final addition to the book, one written by Scott Cawthon, you know that whatever is deemed most relevant for the lore is going to be called out within its pages. Anyway, each Fazbear Fright story has its own little summary page providing a general plot overview as well as a list of connections between the story and the games. Not everything here is useful, but it definitely gets you into the mindset of the authors, and it helps you see some of the connections that the stories were trying to make. Again, if it doesn't make the cut to appear in this book, you're likely barking down the wrong path. Likewise, if something is called out within these pages, it's at least worth considering when theory crafting. TLDR, as I was getting close to the end of my refresher course, I noticed this in the new lead section for the title story of Book 11, Prankster. Quote, some of the puzzle clues, such as Stinger Moot and Even More Frights, may have implications beyond the plot. Careful readers may want to give these scenes a second look. Implications beyond the plot, you say? Just like with Felix the Shark, it appears that the Ultimate Guide is also pointing us to meta clues within a different book. Clues that are meant for us, the readers, rather than for the characters in the story. So, I went
breaking the fourth wall. Love that.
In this story, the main character Jeremiah is trying to save his friends from a mysterious glitchy voice that's freed itself from a FNAF VR game that's being worked on.
Not sure how you're gonna hit a voice with a bat, but I'm gonna try.
Familiar.
Hello.
Along the way, he's presented with a series of riddles. Stinger Moot, which is an anagram of testing room. Give me one and I'll make more. Each one like the one before. What am I? Your next clue contains even more frights. To get there, you just need to follow the lights.
I'm good.
As you're moving closer to your goal, follow the lights to make things right.
Nope.
And for the key to find where your friends hide, roll up your sleeves and reach inside. Now, I've gone back and forth over these clues multiple times, but it felt like a lot of them were just pointing back to stuff that we'd already discussed in previous theories. The give me one and I'll make more felt like a reference to the glitch trap cult, using FNAF VR's tapes to infect more playtesters. The following the lights clues maybe could be a reference to Princess Quest, where they have to light the lanterns to reveal the truth and eventually set Vanessa free, but none of this was new information. We've talked about all of this stuff in depth. Security Breach seemed to confirm some of this stuff, and to be honest, the connections I can make were speculative at best. I tried rearranging the letters into anagrams, didn't really get anything interesting. I even considered that maybe the Stinger Moot and Even More Frights clues were literal. The stingers of the Fazbear Frights books were the epilogues about the Stitch Raids, so maybe if the stinger is moot, then the Stitch Raid stuff is ultimately meaningless. Even More Frights might refer to the next set of books, Tales of the Pizzaplex. I mean, sure, that's a valid explanation, but it was speculation at best, and also pretty darn lame. Why would you go to all the trouble of hiding meta clues like this about stuff that feels ultimately underwhelming? These aren't really questions that people were asking themselves, you know? So, at least according to the Ultimate Guide, there's definitely something hidden inside of that prankster story, and I'm I'm not exactly sure what it is. But there was
if you
even
read
more
all the
that
books,
was
you still don't
suspicious
know.
with Felix the Shark. You see, Dirk doesn't just find the secret Freddy's thanks to written clues inside of a random book. There's also a very specific drawing in the middle of that book. Here's the full quote when describing the dogged dogmatist. The book where the
What is a
are found.
dogmatist?
Quote, the man's search for the creature was convoluted on the whole, but certain lines in the book went beyond convoluted. They just didn't make sense. Neither did the drawing in the middle of the book, an ornate and frilly sketch of what looked like butterflies and flowers. The drawing was never referred to in the book, and it couldn't be related to any of the story. Were the odd lines and drawings some kind of code? For what purpose? And that's not the only time drawings
great, we got
are
another,
brought up in
like,
this one story. There was
crossword
yet
puzzle
another
thing.
odd reference in Felix the Shark
Butterflies
that
and
jumped out to me.
flowers.
Quote again, I'd forgotten all about Freddy's, but yeah, now I remember. I loved the Freddy's coloring books. That's what started my drawing. Eventually, I got tired of coloring and just drew the figures. Last year, the official FNAF coloring book released, which for a normal franchise would be a big old who cares moment.
Yeah.
So here, where the biggest character reveals
Lore.
happened in a spin-off children's activity book, yeah, I wouldn't put anything past this franchise. So it felt strange to mention a real-world item for it only to mean nothing. So, of course, I bought myself the coloring book and the official how to draw book. I went through the pages over and over and over again, but
they
the
have
only
a
thing I
how
was
to
drawing
draw?
was a blank. Seriously though, I couldn't
How many
find
of y'all
it.
have that?
Loads of cool pieces of artwork, like this twisted Chica that's only ever mentioned by name, but nothing major. I checked with black lights, I heated up a page or two to see if it would reveal
there's
some
no
invisible
way
ink.
there'd be
Nothing,
black lights.
or
That
at
would be
least nothing
nuts.
that I could find. And then it hit me. What if this wasn't about solving a mystery within the story, but instead something bigger, something
And now you gotta
more
buy it
real?
every single
The clues
time
in
just in
Dirk's
case.
book didn't make any sense until you were in the right place at the right time. This could all be hinting at an ARG, where just like Dirk, if you find the location, suddenly the clues that people had been theorizing about for months start to fall into place. Which leads us to the final story of Felix the Shark,
So,
the scoop. In this story, a young girl
why did he
named
have to
Mandy
stop
is
the
an
ARG
online
hunt?
FNAF theorist.
Is it because
No
we
joke,
know
she
what's
even
going
signs
on?
off one of her posts by saying, and I quote, I can't share all my secret facts yet until I solve this game theory. Anyway,
Oh, God,
Mandy
really?
digs through the code of FNAF 3.
Looks
Literally,
like an
FNAF
email.
3,
I've been
the game,
so
is
many
mentioned
emails, so many phone calls, so many
explicitly, only
emails.
to discover a hidden picture
Oh,
of
I'm
a building.
tired.
She tracks it down and she learns about a real-life missing children's incident. After a few nightmares where the spirit of the dead child appears, she ends up going to the location only to find an old animatronic bear giving off a nasty
Which
smell.
has the child.
Surprise,
It
surprise,
led
the
her
kid was
to it.
inside of there the whole time. Mandy is
kinda
praised
crazy.
as a hero for finally finding the missing child, and she closes
I don't-
out her blog
are you
by
a hero
saying,
for
quote,
finding
"You'll
that
probably
child,
never
or are
know
you a hero
certain
for
how this
saving
mysterious
a
building
child
is
from
connected
dying?"
to the FNAF universe. The only thing I am certain of is if the creator wanted us to know, I think he would tell us. Wow. Just wow. Feeling a bit attacked, not gonna lie. Though, in my defense, if we waited for Scott to tell us anything, we'd know next to nothing about this franchise's
Kinda
lore.
true,
Just
yeah.
saying. Anyway, outside
We'd
of the
be
heavy
40
references of the
books
story
in.
to theorists and the real-world game of FNAF 3, the weirdest thing about this one is that it contains a lot of specific details as to where the events of the story take place. 33 Fazbear Frights in, and no other story in the franchise features this level of detail. The cities, the street names, file names,
Wait, did they
locations
actually
of
have,
buildings, details
like,
that are
actual
seemingly
cities and
inconsequential to the greater story, and in
street
pretty much
names?
every
Like
other
real
book
ones?
would be skimmed over or kept vague. When Mandy finds this mysterious image in the game files, she traces it back to Utah. Yes, the actual US
Utah.
state. This fact is further solidified
You
when
forget
Mandy's
Utah's a
mom
state
takes her on a
sometimes.
business trip to Cedar City, a real city in Utah, to complete the investigation.
So Stride Man
this
is. Well,
is where
not
the
Cedar
trail
City,
starts
he's
to
in
go
Salt Lake.
cold, because what Mandy's looking for is an old cinema on Willowfield Road in Peace Valley, which after a lot of Google searches, I can tell you just doesn't exist. At least not in Utah. However, in the story, we do learn that Peace Valley is only 15 minutes on highway from Cedar City, so I looked up where you can drive to in 15 minutes from the center of Cedar City. And it turns out there's a very
state
small
park.
town just to the south called Canaraville. So
Why
I
is it named
hopped onto
that?
Google Street View to check out other details that the book mentioned, like the old cinema, which used to be a pizzeria, as well as having a post office on the corner. Unfortunately,
Okay.
neither of these things seem to exist in Canaraville. They do have a post office, and it's near a corner, but it's more like the middle of the street. And so shy of me buying
Yeah.
a plane ticket to go to the middle of nowhere Utah myself, my options were once again
Well, at this
drying
point,
up.
is he living in
okay,
California or
but
is he
what
in
about the
North
actual
Carolina?
game? The game Mandy is
I'm pretty sure he lives in
specifically called
Raleigh.
out to be FNAF 3.
He went
I
to
wondered if
Duke.
Scott
It's
had
crazy.
maybe retroactively put a file into the game that maybe everyone's missed, so I went over to Steam and looked at the update logs, but the game hasn't been updated since April of 2015, and I very much doubt that Scott's been playing a 7-year-long con.
That'd be
especially since
hilarious.
Into the Pit, the first Fazbear Frights
Came
book
out.
didn't hit store shelves until December of 2019. But
Yeah.
Mandy wasn't just playing FNAF 3, it's explicitly mentioned that she's playing the FNAF 3 mobile port. So I took a look at those
Mobile
update
games.
logs. Same situation. The game hasn't been
2015.
updated since February of 2020.
Oh.
Now, we don't know when this story got cut in the 2 years of Fazbear Fright's run, so it could have been in existence then, but I'll be honest, I do not have the elite hacker skills to bust open a mobile game to look for the files. And so, just
I'm sure
like
somebody
that,
can
I
look
was
up
out of
the,
options, out of clues,
was it
out of ideas.
API?
Gotta be
Is that what
honest,
it'd be called?
I feel kind of defeated on this one. Weeks of looking through these books trying to find something that just wasn't clicking, and yet I couldn't shake it. The whole thing gave me some big Gravity Falls ARG vibes.
People want me to react to that.
One of my favorite TV shows of all time, Gravity Falls, did this
I
massive
would probably get copyright claims or blocked or deleted.
Hidden mysteries, ciphers, secret codes, complete with a book, much like the
Oh,
survival
it's Disney?
logbook
Oh, yeah,
that
no
you could
way.
buy that
I
contained
would...
puzzles and secrets
No.
for the fan community to solve. And this ARG,
No.
launched after the conclusion of the show, tasked fans of the series from
I
all
would
corners
get...
of the map to work
No.
together in a quest that would eventually lead them to a statue of the show's villain, Bill Cipher, hidden out in the middle of the woods. Maybe FNAF was seeding
put
out
that there?
clues for something similar.
It's
Or
like when
maybe
they
there
put
were
that...
plans to do a similar
Didn't someone
sort
like
of
put like a
treasure hunt,
post
but
in the middle of the
plans got
desert and
scrapped
people
along
found it like
the
in an
way.
hour?
I can't be sure, but there were just too many weird details here that didn't
Also,
seem to be mere
Geo
coincidences.
Rainbow
Regardless,
exists.
I'd been bested, but that didn't mean I was done. The last time I felt like this was when the survival logbook released, but instead of giving up, I threw the clues that I'd noticed out to you guys, the theorist community, to help me solve it, and he came through. We found Cassidy's name, a name that has since been confirmed by Scott himself. So here I am again at the
hasn't even proven to have help the Bernie Sanders meme.
It seems like something's here, but if it is, I can't figure it out on my own. Maybe you're a theorist from Utah and you know the locations I'm talking about.
Are you from
Maybe
Utah?
You do know how to
Really?
break open the files
Utah?
of the mobile game. Maybe you're as obsessed with this franchise as I am, and you too have the coloring book, and you notice something on those pages that I don't. We haven't let FNAF beat us yet, and we're sure
No,
as heck
God,
not gonna
that's
let it happen today. If you think
Civil
you've gotten
War.
yourself some answers, or maybe just another lead, head on over
We're gonna
to
do the
Game
Stop
Theorist
the
subreddit
ARG
to post your
hunt
findings.
next.
I'm gonna be keeping a very close eye on this one, because like you,
that video
I wanna
is the
see
response to this
franchise
one.
solved. Link is down in the description below to check out the Game Theorist subreddit. And speaking of what's below the video, one final reminder about the new Theoryware, which is
are
available
sick.
now. It's one of the biggest launches that we've done in terms of
I
sheer number.
don't think I need to really...
To solve this FNAF ARG, and thank you.
And now
as
this one's gonna be
always
Stop the
for
FNAF
watching.
ARG hunt.
Remember, it's all just a theory, a game theory.
Next video.
I'll see you next week.
All right.
Hello, Internet.
Hi.
Welcome to the couch video that I never expected that we'd have to make.
So why'd you have to
I am
stop the ARG
literally
hunt?
headed out the door and to the airport in like 45 minutes, but I felt like I needed to sit
Understandable.
down on the couch and address a very important issue that I've seen come up in the last 48 hours. I guess by the time this video goes live,
That
might be
small
closer to
city in Utah is
72.
just like,
We're
what?
gonna try to get this out the door as fast as possible. But anyway, very recently since our last episode, a few days ago, we posted this, the latest episode about our good old buddy FNAF.
June
discussing
5th,
the latest book in
2022.
the series,
That was
Felix
last
the
year?
Shark. Not a particularly great book, but also not the worst in the series.
Wait, were
Looking
we-
through this book, we found several details that I thought were pretty darn interesting. Clues that seem to be pointing towards the existence of some sort of FNAF ARG that never got off the ground, or maybe was hidden out there in the ether that no one had actually stumbled across yet. So, in that video, I asked you, the
Such
FNAF
a
fan
cursed
base and
thumbnail.
fellow theorists, to look into the game files of the FNAF 3 mobile game port.
Not actually
since
go to
was
that place in
explicitly
Utah.
mentioned in the novel, or to any locals of towns that were mentioned in the book itself to let us know if we had maybe missed something about the geography of these local towns. At least that was my intention.
Except
in this
people
video. I mean,
flew
ARGs
to Utah
happen all the time, and we've
trying to figure
covered
it
them
out.
before in episodes like the Inscription series or Wilbur Soot's ARG. So why
Who?
would this one be any different? Over the
'Cause
years,
it's FNAF.
you as the community have dug up all kinds of clues for us, and so I was hoping, hey, our collective hive mind would be able to do it again. I figured that people who knew the history of the franchise and this channel would act in a safe and responsible way.
What did they do?
When it came
What-
to
did something
looking
happen?
into something like this? And admittedly, millions of you did. There are millions of views on that video. And the
In,
vast
like,
majority of
days?
you either
Like, 2
just
days got
watched it,
3 million
you know,
views?
Let it circulate through your YouTube feed, or
This one got
maybe
4
dug
million.
through a couple of game files, whatever. Unfortunately, a few hundred of you, it's hard
That's
to
crazy.
gauge the actual numbers of this thing, but whatever the number,
Went to
was
Utah.
too many. Some people actually called the actual places of businesses in the towns that were referenced in the book. According to our subreddit,
Why would you
one
do
place
that?
of business actually received enough annoying phone calls that they actually had to shut off their phones. See this? This is me internally screaming.
Why?
Now,
Why
just to
would
be
people think that's a good
absolutely
idea?
crystal clear, beyond a reasonable doubt. Stop.
Stop it.
Please
Don't.
stop. I don't know if you can
Just
tell,
don't.
but was not expecting this. And honestly, this issue caught all of us off guard. I never wanted or intended anyone to bother.
He kept the
real
video up,
people,
which is a little
and
weird.
It's never, ever acceptable to harass an individual or a place of business. Period. End of story. And here's the thing. I don't think most of you were intending this, even if you were calling these places up. But consider this: you are a single person researching
very
an online
similar,
mystery, but if
also those people didn't ask for it.
Researching that same online mystery,
Like
all call the
me,
same phone
whenever
number,
there's
asking the
a
exact
certain
same
video that
question.
comes out, and I get
Yeah,
a million
it's gonna
comments
get
about
bad
Helva
inquiries.
Boss
So this is me
or
formally saying
Camp
those
Camp
business
or
owners, those members of the community,
any
individuals
murder
who
drones.
may have felt harassed or burdened by this.
It's like people think I don't know about it. I knew about it before it came out.
It was never my
But
intention
seeing
to
hundreds
cause
of comments
issues
of
for
people,
or
I try to
businesses.
get it
Again,
out as
to the
fast
loyal
as
fans
possible.
watching this video, stop. Cannot make that clear enough. I appreciate your enthusiasm, but this is not the way to do things. It is never, never acceptable to call someone or their place of business to look for lore in a video game. And never, ever, ever post addresses or phone numbers,
So,
even for publicly listed businesses.
so,
It's
you
just
seen any
not
murder
appropriate.
animatronics?
And as someone who's had to endure that
Why are you lying to
level
me?
of harassment in the past, it's not something that I would ever wish on anyone. It's totally inappropriate for anyone, but especially this community, the game theorist community, which I consider to be smart and respectful. So even if you mean well, just stop. I appreciate it, but now is the time to call this one off. So now that we've gotten the most important
Did it ever
message out
amount to
there into
anything,
the
though?
universe, I want to lay a few solutions for the future, because just addressing the issue here doesn't really get down to the root of the problem or how we can prevent this moving forward. Because here's the thing. I love ARGs. You clearly love ARGs. They are some of the most fun content that we get to cover on these channels. I mean, even Food Theory got itself a freaking ARG with Omega Mart. And we are
know what Omega
covering
Mart
them like
is.
we've done many times in the past with Inscription and Fortnite. This whole time,
Is
I
Pokemon
keep
Go an
asking
ARG?
myself, what happened here?
I
If we had
think.
done an episode on the Gravity
Augmented
Falls
reality
ARG
game? Yeah, I
back
think
when
so.
that was still going on, which I even call out in the video in question, would things have been different? Because that Gravity Falls ARG also required people to share clues online and act as a global community. It required them to go to real-world locations to find real-world treasure. And let's be honest, if anything, ARGs are becoming more mainstream, because
I've never
everything
participated
from
in one other than
classic
Pokemon
science
Go.
fiction to sitcom seems like it has an ARG coming out. We, as a set of channels whose whole shtick is to talk about mysteries in video games, TV, and movies, need to be able to discuss these sorts of things happening in the media around us. That's when the solution hit me. There's no protocol in place. We've never been taught officially
how to
the
do an
rules
ARG
and
hunt.
etiquette of doing an ARG, a puzzle that crosses from the online world into the real world. And this
It should be
FNAF
common
ARG
sense.
wound up being the first one that a lot of you were exposed to, and hopefully.
And
maybe
it was their
just
first
weren't aware
time,
of
and
the
they
etiquette of
okay.
solving these sorts of puzzles. Etiquette that is built in with the
Common
express
sense.
purpose of avoiding these sorts of problems that happen when the internet and the real world collide. There are great ways to make ARGs, but there are equally great ways to solving ARGs. So how do we move forward in a safe way? Education, talking openly about this, and just
Or
coming up
locals,
with a written
just
list
knowing.
of stuff that we all just have an inherent understanding that we follow. I honestly think that the vast majority of people out there who are calling up places of business or
Well, yeah, they
looking
have to
for
really
clues
care.
in real life were doing so earnestly. They had no ill intent. They were just not realizing that this was out of bounds to call a place of business to ask them about a video game.
That's
it was
so
wrong.
wild.
That's a
Why
far
would they
cry from
know?
malicious. They didn't know the rules of these sorts of games, so
Why
I
would
want to
they-
make it very clear
Why
that
would they
if
know?
and when we reference ARGs on the channel, that there is going to be a clear set of guidelines that every single person should be aware of and follow. I'll actually reference this video many times if we ever do something like this in the future. We've never had this sort of issue come up in the past, but now that it's here, it's time that we move forward as responsible human beings. We set
I don't wanna.
expectations for ourselves, our community, and hopefully for the wider internet. And I'm doing this right here on the channel instead of posting this as a bulleted list on
Yeah,
Reddit
so more
or on
people see
Twitter,
it.
mostly because I want to make sure that all of you who saw that original video have the best shot possible of seeing this video as well.
That's
to make
true.
it very clear that our first priority as an online community, as theorists and as puzzle solvers, is to act safely and responsibly. And if you think that we've missed anything here, like I said, we kind of rushed through this. Everyone on the team kind of brainstormed this very quickly, but please put it down in the comments. We'll add it to the
Suggest
official list.
guidelines.
First, and absolutely most importantly, never, ever, ever publish someone's private information online.
That's- yeah.
Even if you think there's the slightest
Should be
possibility
common
that
sense.
it could be associated with an ARG. That is called doxing, and it
Yeah.
is probably the biggest internet-wide no-no. Period. End of
It's
story.
up there.
Spoiler alert. There are
Also,
no
abusing
clues in
YouTube's
there.
copyright
Rule
system is
2,
another
and
one.
Associated with that last
But
one,
that's not
stick
ARG.
to publicly available information. No hacking or uncovering something that involves accessing private information about a person or business.
That's
I know,
beyond
it's
common
exciting.
sense.
ARGs feel like this big exciting mystery, and it's like, I'm living out my hack hacker fantasies, but remember, they are games that are meant to be.
Do people have
played with
hacker
the public,
fantasies?
so keep them in the public sphere. Rule number 3.
They're not
Some
going to make you go
ARGs,
that
including
deep
very
to
famous
find
ones like
something.
the Gravity Falls ARG will require you to go to real-world locations, or some representative of your puzzle-solving team to go to a real-world location. These will almost always, in fact, they should always
be safe in public,
spaces
and yeah, you should
places
never have to
that do not
trespass
require you to
or
interact with a
yeah.
person, go onto any private property, or otherwise disturb someone else's life. Be safe in these situations, regardless
Do not
of any evidence
trespass.
that you might see. Never go to
I've
a place
trespassed
where
a
you
few
wouldn't
times
feel
in my
comfortable
life.
going to in everyday life. Never enter private
Sometimes
property. And
sometimes
yes,
trespassing
that
to
abandoned
get good
warehouse or
pictures,
old
you know?
pizzeria or whatever is private
Don't do
property. It is
But-
not acceptable for you to go there. Or, you know, another shorthand for this is if you've ever been to an escape room, they say the same thing. The clues are going to be obvious. They're going to be in front of you. Do not break stuff to try and find a hidden clue. There is no hidden clue, and all you would have
I can
done
escape
is
the room if I
broke
tear it on the
stuff.
wall.
Rule number 4, things like business addresses and phone numbers are indeed listed online publicly, and so talking about them is technically not doxing, important distinction to make, but it's
But
not
acting
okay
on
to
them.
call those private businesses about anything other than doing business with them. If you're calling Domino's, make sure you're calling Domino's for some delicious pizza and not asking them whether they belong to
Are they
the
a
Freddy
sponsor
Fazbear's
of the Food
Pizzeria
Theories channel?
universe. If you're doing it, assume that a handful of other people is doing it, and while one phone
Yeah.
call might not constitute harassment, a couple hundred phone calls does, whether that's intentional or not. And finally, rule number 5, which is kind of a corollary of rule
If you
number
read my
4,
comments section,
find
I'll read
one
every
central
comment.
place
You're
to
gonna be a
solve
lot,
ARGs, so people
like,
aren't
a
trying
lot
to
of the
repeatedly
same
do
comments.
the same stuff. Find your like-minded group of puzzle solvers and theorists. Unite together. Reddit, Discord, great places to do this sort of thing, but
Yeah,
taking
well,
over
Reddit,
unrelated boards
r
or
slash
spaces
place.
to dig into an ARG, not okay. It should
That
go
whole
without saying,
thing.
but we would never cover an ARG on this channel that involved violating any of those sorts of guidelines. It's true, sometimes we may not have all the steps of an ARG pre-solved.
Also,
when
if
we
an
publish a
ARG
video because
requires you to
we
do
think
all
it's
of
a
that,
fun
then
mystery that's fun
they're
to solve
liable,
together as a
and I think
community.
that'd be a
That
cult.
said, there is no lore, no interesting animatronic discovery that would be worth
He's reading off a
violating
script.
anyone's privacy or disrespecting other people in the real world or online. I hope that we can all move forward doing things that are this exciting, but more importantly,
I think they
safe. Again,
like
really
did this
didn't
for
see this one
legal
coming,
reasons,
especially
maybe.
given our long history of covering ARGs, but hey, now that it's here, it's incredibly important to me that this community be a place where we stay responsible. So again, I am so sorry to everyone and anyone who's been affected by this whole thing. And to the rest of you watching, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Please, if you know someone who saw that original video but might not have seen this one, send it
why they
over
would
to
call
them.
businesses.
Very important that
Like-
everyone gets this message across. It wasn't a game theory,
Why?
but this one was an important video for
Is
the
that
Gears
just like,
community and
were
for
they
all
gonna
other
ask? They didn't know a
aspiring
local, so
puzzle
they're
solvers
like,
out
oh,
there.
let me
So thank
call
you
a
for
local
watching. Stay safe, and as always, stay
to
curious.
get them to answer the question. Is that what they wanted? Like, is that what they did? Were they just like, oh, I don't know anybody from that small town in Utah. Let me call a business and see if they have any answers. Or they can go check something out. I swear. Honestly, with how many YouTube comments I've read, I honestly am not surprised. Not surprised at all. I've read some completely dumb comments. Like, in Dragon Ball Z Bridge, there's solar flares. And they're like little split-second things. And I'm like... Everybody's like, oh, use a comma or a period, and it goes frame by frame. I'm like, I'm on an Xbox channel. I've literally said that in the video, and people will still go, oh, just use the comma or period. I'm like, show me the comma or the period on an Xbox controller. It's just like, people don't think, but, oh, man, I don't know how many comments I've read to at this point. There's like, I've made over 3,000 YouTube videos, and I've read every comment on those videos, and I've read a lot of comments in my life, so I'm not really surprised that people went to those links, especially if it like could involve with them talking to NatPat or getting a shout out or something like that. I have no idea. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Come back next week for the final security breach mystery solved. I'll be reading your comments. I'll also be streaming today at 5 p.m. playing some of my Pokemon Emerald Randomizer Nuzlocke. I just got another legendary Pokemon right at the end of last week's stream. I haven't even gotten to use it yet. It was so... I basically had to stall it. I had to stall it, it had to struggle, it had to lose health, and it had like a super low catch rate. It was so sketchy. I almost lost Pokemon doing it. The Nuzlocke is amazing. You should definitely stop by. I'm always reading chat as well. But I hope everyone a rest today. I hope you're subscribed. Until next video, take care, and kitty music.